The massive alien ship appeared without warning. One day the skies were normal, and the next, a vessel the size of a small city hung over Earth like a dark cloud. Captain Jack Miller watched it from the window of his salvage ship, the Opportunity. His hands gripped the metal rail so hard his knuckles turned white. "That's the biggest thing I've ever seen," said his friend and engineer, Emma Reed. She stood beside him, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. The aliens called themselves the Valerians. They looked almost like humans, but taller with skin that shimmered blue in certain light. They spoke perfect English through devices on their throats. For 3 days, they talked only to world leaders. No one knew what they wanted. People were scared. Some ran to the countryside. Others stayed in cities, watching the sky and waiting. On the 4th day, the news came. The Valerians had a deal for Earth. "They want to give us their old technology," the president announced on TV. "In return, they will use Earth as a place to leave their broken equipment." People argued about the deal. Some said it was a trick. Others said it was a chance to learn alien science. The Valerians settled the argument by showing what their weapons could do. They turned a small, empty island into glass with one blast from their ship. After that, Earth agreed to the deal. Jack's salvage company was one of hundreds hired to collect and sort the alien junk. The pay was good, better than he'd ever made pulling old satellites and space trash from orbit. His crew was excited about the chance to touch alien tech, even if it was broken. First load coming in, called Tom Ward from the pilot's seat. Tom was their physicist and second in command. He pointed to a Valerian dropship approaching their position. The alien craft was smooth and curved, with no sharp edges. It stopped near the Opportunity and opened its cargo doors. Inside were piles of metal parts, broken machines, and strange devices. "Begin collection," Jack ordered. He put on his spacesuit and went outside with Emma and 2 other crew members. They used the ship's robotic arms to move the alien junk into their cargo hold. The Valerian pilot watched them with what looked like amusement. The alien's expression was hard to read, but Jack felt like they were being laughed at. "Enjoy your gifts, humans," the Valerian said through a speaker. "Your primitive species might learn something." Then the drop ship closed its doors and left. Back inside, Emma started sorting through the junk. Most of it looked completely broken: cracked power cells, shattered control panels, and bent metal frames. But Emma noticed something odd. "Jack, come look at this," she said. Jack floated over to her workstation. Emma held what looked like a broken glass ball with metal parts inside. "This isn't just broken," she said. "Look at these cuts." She pointed to clean, straight lines inside the device. These were made on purpose. Someone cut these connections deliberately. Jack frowned. "You think they broke their own tech before giving it to us?" Emma nodded. "I think they don't want us to know how it works." Over the next few weeks, more alien junk arrived. Earth's orbit became a scrapyard of Valerian technology. Most salvage crews found nothing useful and sold the alien metal for its strange properties alone. It was lighter and stronger than anything on Earth. But Emma kept studying the broken pieces. She spent hours in her lab on the Opportunity, taking things apart and putting them back together in new ways. Tom helped her, bringing his knowledge of physics to understand how the alien devices might work. One night, Jack found them both still in the lab, surrounded by parts. "You two need to sleep," he said. Emma looked up, her eyes red from working too long. "Jack, I found something." She held up what looked like a round metal plate. "This is part of a power source. It's not just broken, it's built wrong on purpose. They want us to think their tech works one way, but it doesn't." Tom nodded. "We think the aliens are hiding how their technology really works. They give us parts that look like they should connect one way, but that way would never work." Jack sat down. "Why would they do that?" "So we can't use their technology against them," Emma said. "They're making sure we stay primitive." Jack thought about the way the Valerian had looked at them. "They think we're stupid. But we're not." Emma said with a smile. "I've been studying these power cells. The Valerians damage them in the same way each time, if we connect them differently." She attached wires to the round plate and then to a small box with instruments. The device hummed to life. A small light glowed on top of the box. "It works," Tom said, his voice full of surprise. "It's putting out more power than anything we have on Earth. And this is just one small piece." Jack stared at the glowing light. "Can you make more of these work?" Emma nodded. "Now that I know what to look for, yes. The aliens think we'll try to copy their design exactly. But we don't have to. We can create our own design based on their parts." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "If the Valerians find out—" "They won't," Emma said. "They don't check what we do with the junk. They think it's useless to us." The next day, Jack called a private meeting with his entire crew. 12 men and women gathered in the ship's meeting room. Jack locked the door and turned off all communications. "What I'm about to tell you stays in this room," he said. He nodded to Emma, who explained what she and Tom had discovered. When she finished, the room was silent. Then Maya, their communications officer, spoke up. "Are you saying we can make the alien tech work? That their gifts aren't junk at all?" "Yes," Emma said, "but we need to be careful. The Valerians can't know what we're doing." The crew looked at each other. They all understood what this meant. The aliens had tried to trick Earth, giving broken technology to keep humans dependent and weak. "So what do we do now?" asked Ray, one of the mechanics. Jack stood up. "We keep collecting their junk, but we also start sorting it differently. Emma and Tom will train all of you to recognize the parts that can be fixed or used in new ways." "And then?" Maya asked. Jack looked around the room at his crew. "And then we show the world that humans aren't as primitive as the Valerians think." Over the following months, the opportunity became more than just a salvage ship. It became a secret workshop. While other ships collected alien junk and sold it for scrap, Jack's crew carefully sorted and stored the most valuable pieces. Emma made a breakthrough when she fixed 3 power cells together. The energy they produced could run the entire ship for weeks. Tom used that power to study other alien devices, learning how their weapons and shields worked. Word of their discoveries spread quietly to a few trusted friends in other salvage crews. Soon, a small network formed. Engineers and scientists sharing what they learned about the alien technology. 1 year after the Valerians first arrived, Jack received a message from an unknown source. It contained just 5 words. "The government wants to talk." 3 days later, Jack, Emma, and Tom sat in a secret underground room with military officials. Admiral Laura Hayes, a stern woman with gray hair, listened to their story without expression. When they finished, she opened a folder and showed them pictures of other salvage crews that had made similar discoveries. "The Valerians think they're being clever," Admiral Hayes said. "But they made a big mistake. They underestimated human curiosity and creativity." She looked at each of them. "I'm starting a project. We're calling it Phoenix. And I want you 3 to help lead it." "What's the goal of Phoenix?" Jack asked. Admiral Hayes smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "To take the junk they gave us and build something they'll never see coming." 6 months passed since the Valerians began dumping their useless technology on Earth. The space around the planet now looked like a giant scrapyard. Thousands of salvage ships moved through fields of alien junk, collecting what they could. Most people still thought the alien tech was broken beyond repair. They were wrong. In a hidden section of the opportunity, Emma worked day and night. Her workshop walls were covered with drawings and notes. Parts of alien devices filled every table and shelf. She hadn't slept properly in days, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "I've got it," she said when Jack entered the room. She pointed to a glowing blue cube on her workbench. "This is what they've been hiding from us." Jack moved closer. The cube hummed with energy. "What is it?" "A working power core," Emma said proudly. "The Valerians broke these in a specific way, cutting 3 key connections, but I found that if you connect them differently, not the way they were designed, they work even better. Tom entered the workshop, carrying more alien parts. He stopped when he saw the glowing cube. "You did it," he said with a wide smile. "How much power?" "Enough to run 10 ships like the Opportunity," Emma said. "And this is just a small one. The bigger cores could power entire cities." Jack whistled. "The Valerians really thought we wouldn't figure this out." "They don't understand how humans think," Tom said, putting down his box of parts. "They expect us to try repairing their technology exactly as it was. But we're creating something new from their broken pieces." Jack looked at the glowing core. "What else have you learned?" Emma's face became serious. "The Valerians aren't just giving us random junk. There's a pattern. They're giving us specific types of technology, weapon systems, drive components, shield generators, but all carefully broken. Almost like they're afraid of what would happen if we could use them," Tom added. A knock on the door interrupted them. Maya, their communications officer, entered with a worried look. "Jack, we just got word from Admiral Hayes. The Phoenix Project wants us at the new space station immediately." Jack nodded. "Get the ship ready. We'll bring everything Emma and Tom have been working on." The new space station orbited Earth on the opposite side from where the Valerians usually appeared. Named the Forge, it was built specifically for Project Phoenix. From the outside, it looked like a regular station. Inside, it was the most advanced research facility humans had ever created. The Opportunity docked at a hidden bay. Jack, Emma, and Tom were met by armed guards who escorted them to a large circular room. Admiral Hayes waited there with a team of scientists and military officers. "Good, you're here," Hayes said without greeting. "We've made progress, but not fast enough." She led them through a secure door into an enormous chamber. Inside was a half-built spacecraft, unlike anything they had seen before. It was larger than any human ship, with a strange angular design. Workers swarmed around it, installing equipment. "This is the Phoenix," Hayes said, "built using what we've learned from the Valerian junk, but we're stuck on the power system." Emma stepped forward. "I can help with that." She opened her bag and carefully took out the glowing blue cube. "This is a working Valerian power core." The room went silent. Hayes stared at the cube, then at Emma. "You got one working." "I can get more working," Emma said. "And I can teach your team how." Hayes smiled for the first time. "That's why I wanted you here." For the next 3 months, Emma led the power systems team at the Forge. She taught them how to reconfigure the alien power cores. Jack worked with the salvage teams, identifying the most valuable pieces of junk to collect. Tom joined the weapons research group, applying his knowledge of physics to understand how Valerian weapons could be modified. The Phoenix grew quickly. What started as a skeleton frame became a fully formed ship. It wasn't pretty. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals, but it was powerful. One night, Jack found Emma staring at the Phoenix through a viewing window. "Amazing, isn't it?" he said, standing beside her. "It's terrifying," she replied quietly. "Do you ever wonder if we're making a mistake, building a weapon this powerful?" Jack thought before answering. "The Valerians didn't just give us their trash because they needed somewhere to put it. They're keeping us weak on purpose. Why would they do that unless they plan to use their power against us someday?" Emma nodded slowly. "I found something today in one of their navigation systems. The Valerians have done this before, Jack. They've made these deals with 6 other worlds." Jack felt his stomach tighten. What happened to those worlds? "I don't know, but they're all in strategic positions around Valerian space." She looked at him with worried eyes. "I think we're being surrounded." Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the station. "What's happening?" Emma asked as they ran toward the command center. They found Admiral Hayes looking at a large screen. It showed a Valerian ship approaching Earth, not a regular cargo ship, but a larger vessel with a different design. "They're early," Hayes said. Their next trash delivery wasn't scheduled for 2 weeks. The Valerian ship stopped at its usual position, but instead of opening cargo doors, it released smaller vessels that spread out around Earth. "What are they doing?" Jack asked. Hayes's face was grim. "I think we're about to find out if the Phoenix is ready." A communication signal came through. On the screen appeared a Valerian officer, taller and more imposing than the others they had seen. He wore an elaborate uniform with symbols that looked like military rank. "People of Earth," the Valerian said, "I am Grand Admiral Krell. Your world has served its purpose in our waste disposal program. We will now begin the next phase of our operation. Resistance is not advised." The screen went dark. Moments later, reports came in from around the world. The smaller Valerian vessels were deploying structures in orbit. Not junk, but military installations with weapons pointed at Earth. "They're setting up a blockade," Hayes said, "just like they did at the other worlds before they took them over." Jack looked at the Phoenix. "How close is it to being ready?" "The weapons systems are at 70%, Tom said, checking a tablet. "The engines work. The shields are untested." Hayes made a decision. "Launch it now. Get a skeleton crew aboard and move it to the far side of the moon. We need it hidden and ready." As teams rushed to prepare the Phoenix, Jack pulled Emma and Tom aside. "I need you both on that ship," he said. "No one knows the systems better than you do." Emma nodded. "What about you?" "I'll be piloting," Jack said. "Admiral Hayes just gave me command." Tom looked surprised. "You're not a military officer." "No," Jack agreed. "But I know junk better than anyone. And that's what the Phoenix is, the best piece of junk humans have ever built." As they boarded the Phoenix, Emma paused at the airlock. "Jack, what if this doesn't work? What if we can't stop them?" Jack thought about the Valerian who had laughed at them as they collected broken parts. He thought about how the aliens had tried to keep humans dependent and weak. "It will work," he said with determination, "because they expect us to fail. They'd underestimated what humans can do with a pile of junk and a good reason to fight." The Phoenix launched quietly, its engines barely visible as it slipped away from the forge. On Earth below, the first Valerian announcements were being broadcast to a scared population. "Your planet is now under Valerian protection. Remain calm and follow instructions. The transition will be peaceful if you cooperate." But behind the moon, hidden from Valerian sensors, Earth's secret weapon waited. The Phoenix, built from alien trash and human determination, prepared for its first battle. The Phoenix waited in the shadow of the moon. Its engines were off to avoid detection. Inside, Jack sat in the captain's chair on the bridge. Around him, a crew of 20 worked at their stations. None of them were trained military pilots or soldiers. They were engineers, scientists, and salvage workers, people who understood the alien technology they had rebuilt. "Valerian ships are spreading out," Maya reported from her communication station. "They've surrounded Earth completely." Emma stood at Jack's side, watching the main screen. It showed the positions of all Valerian vessels. The largest one, Grand Admiral Krell's command ship, hung directly over the United Nations building in New York. "They're making a point," Tom said, "showing who's in charge." Jack nodded. "Maya, can you tap into Earth communications? What are they saying to our leaders?" Maya worked her controls. "Got it. Patching through now." Krell's voice filled the bridge. "Understand your confusion, but this was always the plan. Your world is perfect for Valerian needs. We will begin terraforming immediately. Your cooperation will make this transition easier." A human voice responded, the Secretary General of the UN. "What about our people? There are billions of us. A limited number will be permitted to remain as workers," Krell said. "The rest must be relocated. We have prepared containment facilities." Jack looked at his crew. Their faces showed anger and fear. "We can't wait any longer," he said. "Admiral Hayes, are you ready?" Admiral Hayes responded from Earth Defense Command. "All our conventional forces are prepared to engage on your signal, Captain Miller. Remember, you'll only get one chance at surprise." "Understood." Jack turned to Tom. "Weapons status." Tom checked his panel. "Main cannon is charged. We've never fired it at full power, but tests show it should work." "Should?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "It's alien tech we rebuilt from junk," Tom said with a shrug. "Nothing about this ship comes with guarantees." Jack smiled despite the tension. "Emma, power status." "Cores are running at 95% capacity," she said. "More than enough for what we need." Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide Earth's future. "Start engines. Take us out slowly." The Phoenix moved from behind the moon, its strange patchwork hull reflecting distant sunlight. It accelerated toward Earth, picking up speed with each second. "Set course directly for Krell's command ship," Jack ordered. "Maya, broadcast to all Earth forces. Operation Lazarus is active." On Earth, military bases around the world launched everything they had: jets, missiles, and experimental spacecraft. None of them were a real threat to the Valerian ships, but they weren't meant to be. They were a distraction. The Valerians reacted exactly as expected. Their ships turned to face the incoming human attacks, weapons powering up. They didn't notice the Phoenix approaching from behind until it was too late. "We're in range," Tom announced. "They haven't detected us yet." "Target Krell's engine section," Jack ordered. "Fire when ready." Tom pressed his hand to a panel that glowed blue under his touch. "Firing main cannon." The front of the Phoenix opened like a flower, revealing a glowing core. Energy built up, crackling with power, then shot forward in a brilliant beam. It sliced through space and hit the Valerian command ship's engines. The alien vessel shuddered, then began to drift. "Direct hit," Tom shouted. On the main screen, they saw Valerian ships turning to face them. They finally noticed the Phoenix. "They're scanning us," Maya said. "They seem confused." Jack smiled grimly. "They recognize their own parts but can't understand what we've built." Krell's voice came through the communication system. "Unidentified vessel, you have attacked a Valerian Imperial ship. This action requires immediate." "This is Captain Jack Miller of Earth Vessel Phoenix." Jack interrupted. "Your ships will withdraw from Earth space immediately, or we will continue firing." There was a pause, then laughter. "A human ship, built from our discarded waste. Your primitive species can it." Tom fired again. This time the beam hit one of the smaller Valerian ships. It exploded in a flash of bright light. "That was a low-power shot," Jack said calmly. "The next one will target your command ship's bridge, Admiral Krell." The Valerian ships began to move, forming a defensive pattern around their damaged command vessel. They opened fire on the Phoenix. "Shields holding," Emma reported as the ship shook. "Their weapons are strong, but our modified shields are absorbing the energy." This was the most important part of their plan. Emma had discovered that Valerian shields could be reconfigured to not just block energy attacks, but to absorb them and feed the power back into the ship's systems. "Power levels rising," she said with excitement. "Their attacks are making us stronger." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "Tom, target their weapons platforms around Earth. Take them out one by one." The Phoenix moved fast for its size, darting between Valerian ships. Each time it was hit, its shields glowed brighter. Each time it fired, another alien ship or platform was disabled or destroyed. On the main screen, they saw Valerian vessels beginning to retreat. They were pulling back, moving away from Earth. "They're running," Maya said in disbelief. "Not all of them." Jack pointed to the command ship. It was turning slowly, its damage repaired enough to move again. But it wasn't retreating. It was aiming its main weapons at Earth. "They're going to fire on the planet," Tom warned. "Targeting major cities from the look of it." Jack's face hardened. "Position us between that ship and Earth." Jack, their weapon is much bigger than what they've used so far, Emma warned. Our shields might not hold. They'll hold, Jack said firmly. Because they have to. The Phoenix moved into position. On the screen, they saw Krell's command ship's weapon ports opening, energy building. All power to forward shields, Jack ordered. The Valerian ship fired. A massive energy beam, larger than anything they'd seen before, shot toward the Phoenix. It hit the shields with tremendous force. The ship shook violently. Warning alarms sounded throughout the bridge. Shield energy at maximum. Emma shouted over the noise. Systems overloading. Jack held onto his chair as the ship rocked. Redirect the energy. Use it. Emma's fingers flew over her control panel, sending it to the main cannon. The Phoenix's shields began to glow brighter and brighter as they absorbed the Valerian attack. The energy flowed through the ship's systems, building in the main weapon. Cannon charged beyond maximum capacity, Tom reported. It's more power than we've ever handled. Fire, Jack ordered. The Phoenix's cannon released all the absorbed energy in one massive blast. It tore through space and hit Krell's command ship directly in the center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien vessel began to break apart, splitting down the middle. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as its power cores overloaded. Valerian flagship is destroyed, Maya said, her voice quiet with awe. Around Earth, the remaining Valerian ships started jumping away, disappearing into faster-than-light travel. In less than 5 minutes, they were all gone. The bridge of the Phoenix was silent. No one could believe what they had just done. A ship built from alien junk had defeated the most powerful fleet in known space. Maya, Jack finally said, open a channel to Earth. The main screen showed Admiral Hayes. She was smiling, something none of them had seen before. Captain Miller, she said, it seems your junk pile works pretty well. Jack looked around at his crew, ordinary people who had done the impossible. It's not the ship that matters, Admiral. It's the people who refuse to stay primitive. Hayes nodded. Return to Earth, Phoenix, and prepare your crew for a hero's welcome. As the Phoenix turned toward home, Emma stood by the main viewport, looking out at the stars. What do you think the Valerians will do now? She asked when Jack joined her. They'll be back someday, he said. But next time, we'll be ready. And we won't be alone. What do you mean? Jack smiled. The other 6 worlds the Valerians were helping with their junk. I think it's time we paid them a visit. Show them what humans can build from trash. Emma looked back at the stars. They should have known better than to underestimate us. That, Jack said, was their biggest mistake. 2 weeks passed since the battle. Earth celebrated its unexpected victory, but Jack knew the war was far from over. The Valerians would return with a bigger fleet. Earth needed to prepare. The Phoenix floated in a new dock built just for it. Workers swarmed over its hull, repairing damage and adding improvements. Emma led the engineering teams, pushing them to make the ship even stronger than before. Jack stood in Admiral Hayes' office at Earth Defense Command. Large windows showed the busy shipyards where more vessels were being built using Valerian technology. Not as powerful as the Phoenix, but still better than anything humans had before. 6 more ships will be ready in a month, Hayes said, looking at the construction. But intelligence says the Valerians will be back sooner. How soon? Jack asked. 3 weeks, maybe less. Hayes turned from the window. They're gathering a fleet at their main base. 20 ships, all bigger than what we faced before. Jack frowned. The Phoenix can't fight that many alone. You won't be alone. Hayes pressed a button on her desk. A large screen showed a star map with 6 planets highlighted. These are the other worlds the Valerians were using as dumping grounds. We've made contact with all of them. Jack moved closer to the screen. They built weapons too. Some did. Hayes pointed to 3 of the planets. These civilizations figured out the same thing we did. They'd been building their own versions of the Phoenix. The other 3 worlds haven't gotten as far, But they've started. Can we coordinate with them? Form an alliance? Hayes nodded. That's exactly what we're doing, and it's why I called you here. She handed Jack a tablet. Your new orders. The Phoenix will visit each of these worlds, share our technology, and bring their representatives back to Earth for a summit. Jack read through the orders. You're keeping me as captain. The Phoenix isn't a military vessel in the traditional sense, Hayes said. It needs someone who understands salvage and how to make broken things work. That's you, Miller. Jack smiled slightly. When do we leave? Tomorrow. You'll start with the closest world, Tyrannus. Their people look almost human, which should make first contact easier. The next day, the Phoenix departed with its original crew plus some new members, diplomats, and scientists chosen to help build alliances with the other worlds. The ship's engines, improved by Emma, pushed it faster than before. They reached Tyrannus in just 2 days. The planet looked like Earth, but with more oceans. As they approached, they detected ships in orbit. They were clearly built from Valerian junk, just like the Phoenix, but with different designs. They're hailing us, Maya reported. Open a channel, Jack ordered. The main screen showed a woman with pale blue skin and white hair. She looked mostly human except for her colors and slightly larger eyes. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, she said. You're not Valerian, but your ship uses their technology. Jack stepped forward. I'm Captain Jack Miller from Earth. Our planet was also used as a Valerian dumping ground. We built this ship from their junk and used it to drive them away. The woman's eyes widened. You defeated Valerian ships. How many? A small fleet, including their command vessel, Jack said. But they're gathering more forces. We've come to propose an alliance between all the worlds the Valerians tried to keep weak. The woman was silent for a moment, then smiled. I am Commander Lyra of Tyrannus Defense. We welcome you, Earth allies. Please, dock at our main station. Our leaders are eager to meet you. The Phoenix docked at a large space station. Jack, Emma, and Tom led a small team to meet the Tyrannus officials. They were taken to a grand meeting room where leaders from different regions of the planet waited. The head of their council, an older man named Doran, greeted them warmly. For years, we thought we were alone in resisting the Valerians. They told us no other species could understand their technology. They told us the same thing, Emma said. They underestimated all of us. The meeting lasted hours as both sides shared their discoveries. The Tyrannus engineers had found different ways to make the alien technology work. They hadn't built a ship as powerful as the Phoenix, but they had created better shield systems and faster engines. If we combine what we've learned, Tom said excitedly after examining their designs, we can make both our ships twice as effective. Doran nodded. And with the other worlds joining us, we might stand a chance against the Valerian Empire. Jack looked around the table. The Valerians tried to keep us divided and weak. Instead, they gave us the tools to fight back and brought us together. After 3 days of meetings, the Tyrannus agreed to join the alliance. They sent engineers to help upgrade the Phoenix and dispatched their own ships to visit other worlds in the Resistance. 2 of their leaders joined Jack's crew for the journey to Earth. As they prepared to leave, alarms sounded throughout the Tyrannus station. Valerian ships detected, announced the station's commander. 3 warships approaching fast. Jack rushed to the Phoenix with his crew and the Tyrannus representatives. How did they find us? Emma asked as they boarded. They must have been watching Tyrannus, Tom suggested. They probably suspected all their dumping grounds might be working together. The Phoenix launched quickly, its enhanced engines pushing it away from the station. The main screen showed 3 Valerian warships moving into attack positions. They haven't seen us yet, Maya reported. They're focused on the Tyrannus defenses. Jack made a quick decision. We can't leave Tyrannus to face them alone. Target the lead Valerian ship. Fire when ready. Tom activated the main cannon. The Phoenix's weapon fired, striking the lead Valerian ship from behind. The alien vessel spun from the impact, its engines damaged. "Direct hit," Tom announced. "They're turning to face us now." The other two Valerian ships changed course, moving to attack the Phoenix. They fired energy weapons that hit the ship's shields. "Shields holding," Emma reported. "The Tyrannus upgrades are working perfectly. We're absorbing more energy than before." The Phoenix fired again, disabling a second Valerian ship. But the third got in a lucky shot that hit a weak point in the Phoenix's hull. The ship shook violently. "Damage to engine section," Emma reported. "Power dropping to 80%. Just as the Valerian ship prepared to fire again, three smaller vessels attacked it from behind. They were Tyrannus ships, built from Valerian junk just like the Phoenix. "Tyrannus Defense Force is engaging," Maya said. "They're giving us cover to repair." The battle turned quickly. The Valerian ships, expecting easy targets, found themselves caught between the Phoenix and the Tyrannus fleet. Within an hour, all three alien vessels were disabled or destroyed. Commander Lyra contacted them from her ship. "Captain Miller, is your vessel damaged?" "Nothing we can't fix," Jack replied. "Thank you for the assistance." Lyra smiled. "This is what our alliance means. We stand together now." As the Phoenix crew repaired their ship, Jack met with Emma and Tom in the engine room. "This attack means the Valerians know what we're doing," he said seriously. "We need to reach the other worlds faster." Emma looked up from her work. "I have an idea about that. The Tyrannus showed me how they modify their engines. If we apply the same changes to our drive system, we could cut our travel time in half." "Do it," Jack ordered. "The sooner we unite all 6 worlds, the better chance we have when the main Valerian fleet arrives." That night, as the Phoenix sped toward the next world on their list, Jack stood alone on the bridge. He looked at the star map showing the 6 planets the Valerians had tried to keep weak and isolated. Now those same worlds were coming together, sharing knowledge and building strength. "You gave us junk," he said quietly, "but we're building something you never expected." Behind him, the ship hummed with power. Energy created from the very technology that was supposed to keep humanity primitive. The Phoenix, born from alien trash, flew faster toward an alliance that would change the galaxy forever. 1 month after the Phoenix began its mission, representatives from all 6 worlds gathered on Earth. They met in a large underground room, safe from any possible Valerian spies. Jack sat at the round table with Emma and Tom beside him. Around them were beings from different planets, all brought together by the same experience, being treated as primitive by the Valerians. Admiral Hayes stood at the head of the table. Behind her, a large screen showed the Valerian home system. "Our spies report that the main attack fleet will launch in 3 days. 30 warships, including their new super destroyer. They plan to hit Earth first, then move to each of your worlds." Lyra from Tyrannus spoke up. "How many ships do we have ready?" 22, Hayes answered. 4 from Earth, 5 from Tyrannus, 6 from Mentar, 4 from Kivara, and 3 from the joint forces of Doran and Pax. Jack studied the map. "Even with our combined fleet, a direct battle would be risky. We need a different approach." "Attack them first," suggested Bren, a commander from Mentor. His people looked like tall humans with golden skin. "Hit their home world before they can launch." Hayes shook her head. "Their home system is too well defended. We'd never get close enough." The room fell silent as everyone considered their options. Then Emma stood up. "We don't need to attack their home world directly. We just need to make them think we can." All eyes turned to her. Jack nodded for her to continue. "The Phoenix was built from broken Valerian technology," Emma said. "But we've improved it, made it stronger than they ever intended. What if we take that idea further? What if we build something they've never seen before?" Tom caught on to her thinking. "A planet killer." "Not a real one," Emma clarified quickly. "We don't have the resources or time for that. But the Valerians don't know what we can build. If we could make them believe we have a weapon capable of destroying their homeworld. A bluff? Hayes asked. Emma nodded. The biggest bluff in history. The plan took shape quickly. Engineers from all 6 worlds worked together, combining their knowledge of Valerian technology. They focused on the Phoenix, adding new weapons and systems. From the outside, the ship began to look different, more threatening, with what appeared to be a massive cannon built into its front section. In reality, the cannon was mostly for show. It could fire an impressive energy beam, but nothing that could actually destroy a planet. The real power of the Phoenix was its speed and stealth. With the combined knowledge of 6 worlds, they made it fast enough to slip past Valerian defenses undetected. 3 days later, the Phoenix prepared to launch on its most dangerous mission. Jack gathered his crew on the bridge. Many were new, the best engineers and pilots from all 6 allied worlds. "This mission is simple but extremely dangerous," Jack told them. "We will jump directly to the edge of the Valerian home system. We'll make sure their sensors detect us and our new planet killer weapon. Then we'll transmit our message and wait for their response." Emma stepped forward. "If they believe our bluff, they'll call back their attack fleet to defend their homeworld. If they don't," she didn't need to finish. Everyone knew the stakes. The Phoenix launched quietly, slipping away from Earth without ceremony. Once clear of the solar system, Jack gave the order, "Activate jump drive." The ship's engines hummed with power, space bent around them, and in an instant, they were at the edge of the Valerian system. Their main planet, a blue-green world much like Earth, was visible on the main screen. "We've been detected," Maya reported from her station. "Valerian defense platforms are powering up." "Showtime," Jack said. "Aim our planet killer at their home world. Power it up so their sensors can detect the energy buildup." The front of the Phoenix opened, revealing the massive cannon. It began to glow with energy, a carefully designed light show that looked far more dangerous than it actually was. "Transmit to all Valerian frequencies," Jack ordered. Maya nodded. "Channel open." Jack stood tall. "This is Captain Jack Miller of the Allied World's vessel Phoenix. We have targeted your homeworld with our planet killer weapon. This technology was developed from the junk you so generously gave us." Jack paused, letting his words sink in. "Your attack fleet will turn back immediately. All Valerian ships will withdraw from the territories of the Allied worlds. You will sign a peace treaty acknowledging our independence and right to self-defense." He looked at Emma, who nodded encouragingly. "You have 1 hour to comply, or we will demonstrate our weapon on one of your outer moons. After that, your planet is next." The bridge was silent after the transmission ended. "Now we wait," Jack said quietly. 30 minutes passed. Valerian defense platforms moved into position around the Phoenix, but none fired. They seemed uncertain what to do. "Incoming transmission," Maya announced suddenly. "It's from the Valerian High Command." On screen, Jack ordered. The face that appeared wasn't Admiral Krell, but an older Valerian with elaborate face markings that signified high rank. "I am Supreme Leader Drez of the Valerian Empire. Your threats are meaningless. No species at your level of development could create a planet-destroying weapon." Jack smiled calmly. "Then you won't mind if we demonstrate on your outer moon, the small one with the mining colony." Drez's confidence faltered slightly. "You would murder innocent workers, just like you plan to do to our worlds," Jack replied. "But I'll make you a better offer. Call back your attack fleet, sign a peace treaty, respect our boundaries. In return, we won't destroy your civilization." Drez's eyes narrowed. "Even if this weapon is real, using it would make you the monsters, not us." "We learned from the best," Jack said. "You tried to keep us weak. You treated us like primitives. Now you face the consequences of your mistake. 20 minutes until we fire." The screen went dark. Jack looked around at his tense crew. "Maya, any movement from their fleet?" She checked her readings. "The attack fleet has changed course. They're returning to Valerian space." A small cheer went up from the crew, But Jack raised his hand for quiet. It's not over yet. 10 minutes later, Dres contacted them again. We will agree to a ceasefire and negotiations, but we must verify your weapon is real. Give us a small demonstration. Not on the moon with the colony, but on an uninhabited asteroid in our system. Jack muted the transmission and turned to Emma. Can we make this work? She nodded. The main cannon can destroy a small asteroid. It will use almost all our power, but it should be convincing. Jack unmuted the communication. Agreed. Choose your asteroid. We'll show you what your jump can do when put in the right hands. The Phoenix targeted a large asteroid designated by the Valerians. Tom charged the main cannon to its maximum power. This will drain almost everything we have, he warned. After this shot, we'll be vulnerable. Then we better make it count, Jack said. Fire. The Phoenix's cannon released a beam of energy that struck the asteroid. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared across the surface of the space rock. It broke apart into thousands of pieces, scattering across space. The Valerian leader watched in silence. Finally, he spoke. It seems we underestimated your species. All of you. The attack fleet has been recalled. We will meet for peace negotiations. 2 weeks later, representatives from all 6 worlds met with Valerian officials on a neutral space station. The peace treaty they signed guaranteed the independence of all former disposal worlds and established clear boundaries that Valerian ships could not cross. As Jack, Emma, and Tom returned to Earth on the Phoenix, they stood together looking at the stars through the main viewport. Do you think they'll honor the treaty? Emma asked. They will, Jack said confidently, because they'll never be sure if our planet killer is real or not. That doubt will keep them honest. Tom smiled. Not bad for a bunch of primitives with a pile of junk. Jack looked at the Phoenix, the ship built from broken pieces that had saved 6 worlds. They gave us trash and expected us to stay weak. Instead, we built something that changed the galaxy. That's the thing about humans, and I guess all the people of the allied worlds. Don't tell us something can't be fixed. Emma laughed. Especially if you've already thrown it away. As the Phoenix approached Earth, ships from all 6 allied worlds flew out to meet it. They formed an honor guard, escorting the vessel that had turned alien junk into salvation. Jack Miller, once just a salvage captain, now a hero to 6 worlds, gave his final order of the mission. Take us home.